Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. During this moment, this hour, this time, I want to talk to you straight up. You see, I want to do some great things. I've been wanting to do some great things for quite some time now. I think it began maybe when I was about 27, 28 years old. And I've been championing this. It means everything to me. And I really want to accomplish it. And what it is that I got this vision of all the people in America excited about life, that things are working for them. Have you ever received a gift? Something that you really didn't expect it at all, but it was something you were met your very need, your very desire at that moment. You ever, and if you haven't, I bet you've thought about what would happen, what would it be like if something came your way like that. Well, I got this vision, ladies and gentlemen, that can happen for all of you. And I've had that vision since the beginning of this movement. And it's a simple matter, ladies and gentlemen. You know, some people say I preach. I don't really call myself a preacher per se. It's just that as I've engaged life and learned truth, it just happened to come out to be like preaching. And it's truth. But I want you to know that the power to make every dream that you have is in your hands. Nobody but yours. You are the God of your body. You are the God of your way. The thing that allows you to breathe and to walk and to see and to do everything that you do represents the God in you. And you are a physical representation of God. So what I'm basically saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Out of all the things that you have done nothing any worse than anybody else. And for every wrong that you've done, you should be forgiven. We are all in the same boat. Same boat. And we all want to go someplace. And we want to go to the same place. The problem has always been, how do we get there? I tell you, there are two ways that you can get there. One is making sure that you don't hurt anybody. And the other one is, if it takes hurting to get there, doing it. The problem with these is that one is smooth when it becomes real. The other is hell all the way and never going any place but to hell. But how do you make a choice? How do you make the choice when you have lived in an environment that has guided you right to that where you're at right now? Well, you are where you are because of where you've been. Now, I want to say something special to a group of people in America that call themselves Christians. They are people who set themselves aside and let the world know that they are followers of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who came to this earth in flesh and lived amongst men as you and I, and walked in and out through the world every day, just like you and I, and confronted the world on the terms of the day. And he exemplified what had been said in a book, had been said in scripture. And at the same time he come to, and in his presence, made the vision clear, gave brighter light and greater understanding. And he chose some men. You know the story, because I really don't want to go into no preaching thing. You look this up. And he went amongst the people and he did great things for one particular purpose. He came in the midst of all that was going on, where people really didn't know God. They had heard prophecies. They had heard the talk about something about a God, but they didn't know God. But they did know the systems of the world. And the systems of the world, in those systems, God was in these systems. Usually in the king or the emperor, the prince or the queen, or however they had it set up. But this was institutional by men. Men who even called themselves divine. And they made rules and regulations for you. And each of these rules and regulations that were set for you were broken by them. But that was in that day. But nothing changed. And so Jesus, dealing with that, became an example for us all. And he ended up on that cross. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. This is the way I've always seen it. They tell us, even in Scripture, or at least the interpretation thereof, that Jesus was on that cross. And that he was there going through all of these changes for our transgressions. The stuff that we do, the sinfulness that we do, he was hanging there because of that, to give us something to believe in and to save our souls, trusting that the example that he set was one that was made of choice, to let us know about truth, to let us know freedom. Well, and so the people say they want to practice the principles and whatever else they come up with, as long as it's related to Jesus Christ. Now, they have been taught for a good reason that believing in Jesus and Jesus dying on this cross, believing in Jesus would free them. You should look at that and see what such a statement has accomplished. That's all you got to do, is look back in your mind's eye a little bit in the past if you want to. Look around you about the things that happen every day and look at God as represented by Christians. And if you are one with the Christian movement, you understand what can you do? Nothing but what you're doing. But why did Jesus go on that cross? Truly, what about Jesus going on that cross that will free you? That will free you. I'm not talking about putting you in some distance marathon. I'm talking about will free you. What about Jesus Christ on that cross will free you? Think about that for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you a different story about that. Jesus Christ on this earth. I know many people don't believe in Jesus Christ. Many people think that a whole bunch of stories. You got people thinking the earth is flat. You got people thinking the earth is round. You got the people thinking that Tupac is dead. You got people thinking he's over there somewhere, put up with the Illuminati. You got all kinds of thoughts going on. And you got all kinds of thoughts when it comes down to this God thing. But if you look around you, here is reality. So whatever your thoughts are in relationship to this reality, it is no good. So it makes it seem as if Christianity is no good. That is the result of the teachings that have come from those who have been teaching about something they know nothing of. But I want to tell you this with Jesus Christ, whether he's real or a figment of somebody's imagination, the story is real. The message is this. What he was saying to us is that there is another outside of what we understand, because we have not been introduced to it in a way that we can understand it. But he was going to show us. He was going to get us to accept it by being able to, in our midst, do things that nobody else could do. Nobody else was doing. Only he. He made blind folks see. Now, wasn't nobody doing that. Doctors hadn't advanced to that level yet. He made people lame walk. Now, they were doing a little bit of that, you know, making crutches out of some whatever they were making them out of. But they weren't giving them the ability to go back like nothing had ever happened. But he did. Special. Nobody else could do that. Made those who couldn't hear again. Those who couldn't speak again. And somebody said that he even made the dead rise. Now, nobody was doing that. So what was he saying as the story goes? And what does he was saying in relationship to what being on that cross meant? I am that I am. He was saying to every individual that came in contact, who saw what he did, who heard what he did, he was saying to every last one of them, as I am, so are you. And I came to tell you, to remind you, that's who you are. Now, this message was so genuine, so real, that he wanted us to know. It's so real that he would allow whatever happened to him happen right now, just so you will know the authenticity of what he was doing and what he was saying. And so he walked the way of freedom. And in walking the way of freedom, it led him into a lot of roadblocks where he stood his ground. Stood his ground. Made a lot of people angry. What does he say? Walking this way is going to make people angry, because you're definitely going to come into a confrontation situation. Well, what are you going to do according to the example? Stand your way. Stand your ground. And they perhaps will get so angry with you, depending upon the effect that you're having with those who they have controlled, and now they are losing. Now they will come at you really hard. And what could they mostly do to you? Well, they don't put you on crosses today. Sometimes they just put you on a plane and crash the plane. Sometimes they come and kill you and say you committed suicide. Sometimes they touch you, put some chemical on you, and give you a heart attack, stroke, stuff like that. You know, they got all kinds of ways to get you. But because you're led by truth, because you know and you are going according to it, these things don't bother you. In fact, the more threatening it might appear to others, the more wonderful it is to you. Why? Because there's a spirit inside of you that allows you to see what being on that cross means. It means you got to be real. It means that you got to believe beyond belief. That means you got to know. If you're going to be free, you got to know something else. You got to know it. And you got to walk it and show it. You got to. Because that's the only way you can be free. If you don't accept that, you're always under the control of somebody else who don't give a damn about you. So being on that cross was telling all people who wanted to be free that being free will get you killed. He wasn't saying anything else but getting free will get you killed. And if you are afraid to die, you will never be free on this earth. And you are always going to be afraid to die until you know God. I'm not talking about believe. I'm talking about know. Now, here's the very difficult situation. When Jesus was on that cross, his statement to all humankind was, I know. This is why I'm doing this. I know, and I don't want you to have any doubt. If God loves you, if I love you, if you are that important to God, if you're that important to me, you are that important to each other, and you should know it to the extent that you're willing to give up your life, then let some take it away from you. And see, the thing that makes it so fantastic is that because you know, Jesus didn't just die on that cross. They tell me, the story goes, that they took him down. Somebody said he was even buried in the fashion that they were doing it. And I heard further that they went to roll the stone away one day, and he was not there at all. Gone. And I also heard that shortly thereafter, he became one of the people in the community. Went around to those who knew of him and showed himself to them, to let them know. The ones he was teaching, to let them know, hey, this is real. You don't have to play games. Look at me. I am alive. I am alive. Now, I'm not going to be here any longer. I just wanted you to know. I wanted you to know. I want you to carry the story. But you don't carry the story in words. You carry the story in your walk. Because when you are thrown up against that cross, the light of God shines on you in a most perfect kind of way. And God gets the glory. Yes, you go away from here. And you hate, you love the people here. But you got a work to do. You didn't come to stay here forever. Now take care of your business. And if it gets you out of here, be glad. But you got to know this, because my talking ain't nothing but foolishness. If you don't know this, you got to know this. And to be a Christian, it means that some people say, you got to make steps. Well, when do you become a Christian? When you join the church? When you start believing that this might be something that you want to get into? Or when do you really become a Christian? Is it when you accept the fact that it is what it is and you know it now? That you can see it? And you are willing to walk that way? Is that the time that you become a Christian? Well, if that's the time that you become a Christian, then maybe we should stop claiming to be Christians. Because I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that the freedom that you want people to know it's nothing that they can do to you. It's nothing that they can do to you that would take you off your stride. You love them. And the things that you do, and this is how you look at it. everybody got an action. What determines if an action is appropriate or not? One, if it doesn't hurt anybody. If it does no one any harm, it's appropriate. If it does harm to anybody, anyone, if it does harm to anyone, you got to believe it. You got to believe that a grain of salt of it. If it hurt anyone, just that little bit, it got to go. Because I guarantee you, if you feed it, it'll grow like a big cancer baby and it will take the whole thing out. So I'm telling you, when you know that you can know and you'll act like it. That's what it takes in a world that's been led in darkness all this time. Led by blindness. We've had what? We've had famines. We've had earthquakes. We've had crime and violence. We've had people get super rich. We got trillionaires in the world today. What do you think trillionaires come from? Where do you think billionaires come from? Where do you think the poor man in the street comes from with no place to stay? But love. The kind of love that I've envisioned all my adult life, really, about the people of the United States of America. Getting that feel of God the way I know God. Not the way people are. Not the way that you know God. Because the way that you know God, as far as I'm concerned, is just a waste of time. I know I've offended many of you when I say that, but that's what I intend to do. If that's all you can get from God and that's all you can give to the human race, you're just a waste of time. I'm telling you this because I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. As long as you are afraid, you will always be a slave. Because there will always be somebody that will take advantage of you. There will always be somebody just waiting. But once you are not afraid anymore, that's the furthest thing from your mind. You won't give a darn about the things that they can do, because whatever they can do, they can't do it to you. Why? Because you know that God ain't fake. And the God that you know lives inside of you that says to you, I am that I am. And that is your authority to go forward as an instrument of God. I'm telling you this. I just want you to know that, when I think about how long I've wanted this and what I have done, I've done nothing like what Jesus did. No, I might have run for public office thinking that had some benefit. I might have walked the streets and traveled around the country on faith trying to tell people what I've been telling you, thinking that would help. I might have, went through a lot of changes. A lot of us go through all kinds of changes. Some of us accept our changes, and some of us have it thrown at us and we get all lost. But if you know what you're doing, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And you know why I'm doing it? Let me tell you why I do it, ladies and gentlemen. Because I know that I know. When I've gone to jail trying to get you to hear what I've been trying to say, I do that knowing that the great possibility is that I will be in jail. And the situation merits it, I will be in prison. I know this. But I step out because I want you to know that I am not jiving with you. I'm saying to you that what I am telling you is so true that I'm glad to go to prison, so you will believe that I'm not faking you, because I know you don't want to go to prison. I know you don't want to go to jail. And if somebody can go there and just gladly go to jail just to tell you something to get you to see it, hey, well, I've done that a few times. Just trying to get you to listen for a second. But this thing about a different kind of life, so different from the way that we see the world, it's really not, ladies and gentlemen. Here in the flesh is not that different. We do the same basic things. Here, we got to have peace. No other way. but treat people right. We got to be prosperous. That's by working together. And we got to experience joy because we are brothers and sisters. We are family. We are the children of God. We are the Almighty, what Jesus Christ called, I will send you a spirit, a comforter that will keep you, guide you, and will teach you what the Father does, what the Father sees, what he sees of the Father, he will show it to you. What he hears of the Father say, he'll tell it to you. You don't need no man to teach you, but what you do represents who you are. So I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a Christian, you got to be ready. You got to be ready to throw your life over their way. You got to be willing to walk according to that guideline. And what is the guideline? Here's the guideline, the simple part. I don't want you to think you got to go try to learn some scripture, learn some doctrine. This is what it is about. It is about caring about one another. It's about living in a world where people are loved. They care about one another to the degree if they see somebody getting abused, they want it to stop. They want to find out what's causing it. It should not exist, and their efforts are to make it not exist. Not to lock people up in jail, up in prisons as if that's the answer. That is not the answer. The answer is to find out what the problem is, what's causing this, and satisfy it. Satisfy what's causing it. You know, give it the right dose of love and get rid of it. And then keep life flowing. Keep life flowing. So, knowing now what you know, that your Christianity that you've experienced ever since you've been a Christian has really been nothing but a world's representation of Christianity. It hasn't been the spiritual representation. It has not been that which represents God representation. Oh, you've used the words, you've adhered to form. But outside of those walls, some of you been truthful and fair with people most of the time. You know, but it doesn't matter because those things are little things, though they are important, but the significance of what being a Christian is about is much bigger than that. It's about that little boy that's snotty nose over there with a popped out belly, hungry, wondering where he's going to stay because his mama found herself in a situation that got her absent, and the father, you know, all kinds of things could exist. But there are all the results of problems that people have to deal with, and it is an answer that only love can fix. I'm going to tell you, it's not an answer that only love can fix. So what we need are people led by the Spirit of God, the great I am that I am, making sure that every time a policy comes up in the systems that we find ourselves in, we have one thing in mind, and that is that thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And that does not mean following somebody anywhere. Everybody trying to take you off that path is like a big sin or a little sin or whatever you want to call it, but sin nonetheless. So, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven is the badge. What you call that stuff that's written across your chest? That is written across your chest. Not that people can read it. Not that they can literally look at it and translate the words, the letters and words, but that they can see your activities. They can know your heart by what you're doing. And what are you doing? You're making sure that not only is that boy fed, but he's clothed, that he's sheltered, that he has access to education unlimited and unrestricted, that he might be the best at whatever it is that he has an ambition to be. And not only that, that every last one of us got a career of our own choosing. A career of our own choosing is not a job, it's a plaything. And every last one of us will love it. Yes, we will build highways, and we will build cities and schools, and we'll take care of the ditches, and we'll take care of the gullies and stuff like this, but it will only be taken care of by people who love to do it, not doing it for the dollar. Because in this environment, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven is not like that across the street. And so, my brothers and sisters, I want to tell you that I feel a lot better but I just wanted to share with you because really I do want to do great things. And the greatest success for me would to be to get you to see that you got the power to be free. Jesus was the example, and you know it. And now you're going to show it. Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate for basic human rights for all people, saying bye-bye.